Next, I'd like to show you how to adjust the density on satin stitches on the Creative icon. So we're going to go to the stitch menu, and I've mostly been using the icon right here, but I'm going to touch this icon up in the upper right corner, maybe. My hands, again, it's my left hand. So this is our selection menu here also, so you can choose stitches either way. I'm going to go to menu 4, which is the satin stitches, and I'm going to select 4.2, and I'm going to select this satin ball stitch, which is number 6 here. And the nice thing about doing it here is that it will tell you a little bit about the type of about that stitch before you load it. And that's really helpful when we get into some of the more complicated stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and touch the load button, which will load that stitch on the screen. And to adjust the density, you can kind of see here, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this a little bit too, but you can see here on the screen that you can almost see those little Z's going back and forth to create that satin stitch. So I'm going to stitch it a little bit first, and then we're going to adjust the density, and I'm going to show you the difference in the stitching. So I'm just going to press the start stop button and go ahead and stitch this out. I just did a couple of them, of the balls, so you can kind of see the density there, and there really are some gaps there in the stitch. You can see the fabric through it. So I'm going to come back over to the screen and touch Stitch Edit, and we've got stitch width here. This is stitch length, and then this set of numbers here, or plus and minus set here, is stitch density. So if I want to make the stitch more dense, what I have to do is get the stitches closer together. And to do that, I need to actually lower, instead of increasing this number, I need to reduce this number to get the stitches closer together. That's probably a little, 2.0 is probably a little too close together. 4.0 is a little bit far apart. So I'm going to stitch this with a density of 0.3, and we'll see what that does. Okay, and I think you may be able to see that those stitches are a little bit closer together and look a little bit nicer to me. I prefer that density to the default density. Now, if we wanted to make the stitch a little bit less dense, we would go higher. So that makes the stitch, what this does is now those stitches are 0.6 apart. So if you want to think of it that way, it makes the stitches further apart. And if you go down, it makes them closer together. Okay, so that's stitch density, and you can use that whenever you feel like it's appropriate.